And what about you? We Suzuki came in here in a rope. So the guy basically drove us, I think, that conked out and diagnosed it himself. His alternator belt is gone. It's just not there at all. So I have the engine mount off this, and I'll just show you a few things. So the engine in this wee car is a 1.3 CDTI diesel. It's a Vauxhall engine, and it's in Astras, Corsas, Fiats, Chevrolet, and it's a whole host of cars it's in. But and the Suzuki. So what you tend to find is that the engine mount here it's a different mount from the original sort of Vauxhall engine. So it's a sort of a bit of a different shape to accommodate the frame. So this one here it's very tight. It's sort of shoehorned in here. But so to really do anything, you take this engine mount off. So I have a jack underneath the sump on a bit of wood, and that's what we're looking at. I have the engine mount already off. But as I said at the intro, the guy lifted the bonnet and saw that I had no alternator belt. So he popped me a text late last night, and thinking that all he needed was an alternator belt. But so when it eventually came here on a rope, I told him that it's very likely that is just a symptom, and the cause is the thing that we really need to find out. Why did the alternator belt actually break? So I think he drove it long enough till the battery went completely dead. Battery went stone flat, so obviously because it wasn't charging. So I've given the thing a bit of a charge, put the battery back in, the car starts. So that was a bit of a worry that the under voltage had maybe done something to the ECU or did anything with the electronics. That can happen as well. He was jump starting it and all sorts of things as well, he was telling me. So that was a wee bit of a concern. But so I did a few checks whenever the car came here, and found out what the problem was. So you need to give all the wheels a bit of a spin. So what we'll have here is the alternator, clearly, but this is a freewheeling clutch pulley. So what happens with this? It works a bit like the gears on a bicycle. So it locks in one rotation, in a clockwise rotation, but it's free to spin. It's a freewheeling pulley, or a clutch pulley it's known as. It's free to go in the counterclockwise position. So whenever this car came to me last night, I was able to stick my hand down and just do sort of that action there, and I was able to determine that that clutch pulley is good. If you can't do that, the double check is just stick something in the fins there. So you shouldn't need any force at all. So a wee screwdriver here in the fins. As I say, I could tell from doing that jerky movement with my hand, but just for a double check, you put your hand on, just jam the fins there, and it should spin. If we can get that jammed there, it'll spin. Bear with me here. It'll spin in one direction. Oh, there we go. So it'll spin anti-clockwise, but it's locked that way. So you don't need any sort of force on it there at all to do that. Right. If it doesn't do that, if it's locked both ways, that can make your tensioner bounce about, and it takes the dampening effect that's designed into that alternator pulley system. So so the way to commonly identify it is if you have that wee black cap over it. So that'll tell you. So we need to go around all the pulleys to see if they're free. So that's the tensioner pulley, that's dead on, and that one there is the water pump. So I was able to get my hand down last night without taking the engine mount. The engine mount sits there, and you can't really see much, but I was able to determine that this is sticky. and that is the water pump. So it does turn, but not freely. The other one to check on this particular car is just got a light in there, because it is very compact down in here. That is a harmonic balancer. So the crank pulley in this is in two parts, and there's a rubber in between the two parts. So if that's collapsed, or I've seen it where this rib bit is actually missing. That rib bit there is actually missing, and the belt is sitting on the inner bit. Unbelievably, it doesn't throw the belt, but it slips like crazy and squeals like mad. And then the other one down there, that is the AC. So that's spinning nicely. So that wheel there, I should be able to spin that with my finger. And as you can see, it doesn't. So that's the cause. The cause of his belt coming off is the water pump seized. And yeah, so explained that to the guy, and then sent him a text last night. Says you need to see if we can get you a water pump at sort of short notice. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to change the water pump. So we'll see if we can get you up in here in the back side of the water pump. It's maybe a bit shaky. So that's the bottom of the crank pulley. There you can see the green there. Now that's not green crusties. The coolant in this vehicle is the green stuff. I don't know if I can see. Good job in there. That's the back side of the water pump. So you can see it's sort of like it's been leaking there. Change his water pump, and of the coolant drained out, so we just drained it out of the radiator. We're going to be changing the coolant in this car anyway. I don't think it's ever been done, so I'm just going to block out that inlet hose there, and with my hand, and give this a blast from airline. Camera didn't like that. There we go. So there's a water pump out. It's just 4 10mm nuts. You access them through the holes in the pulley wheel. Fortunately enough, this water pump, it wasn't completely seized. I could still spin the pulley, so I could get an ordinary socket just in through the holes in the pulley. So I'll just show you that. Just a wee thing to note, I discovered the wee rubber seal was still stuck to the housing, so you just have to make sure that that's removed. So here's our water pump out of the car, and let's see where it's been leaking there, and you can see a big gap here. That's the seal that was still stuck to the housing. That's our new seal. So you can see a gap there. Lucky enough, does still spin. Plastic impeller, which is good, because I was worried that if that had a metal impeller, that would have damaged our block. So it's always there's a better view of that there, where it's collapsed. So that is what's throwing our belt. It started leaking there. So a wee thing to note on this one is this is plastic. This has a plastic housing. So I take it that this is the OE. There's a magnet. So it's definitely not, well, it could be aluminium and the magnet wouldn't do anything, but it's definitely plastic. So that whole thing's plastic. So the burn's just heated up in there, and it's just collapsed there. So it's made our shaft a bit cutty-wampus there. If we go to our new one here, that's just a wee protector thingy. Again, plastic impeller, which I like. I like plastic impellers. This is, as you can see, clearly aluminium, and it comes with the pulley wheel on it. So nice and free there. So that's the difference. So that hopefully that's a better job than the original. So we'll just give that face there at housing a bit of a clean up with some emery paper. Just a wee quick run around it there with some emery paper, and put a cloth in, and into the remaining coolant and just picked out the any wee bits of debris or whatever. We're going to start these bolts up here, just put them in a socket, and a wee trick I like to do is a wee bit of blue tack on it there. You could put a wee bit of tissue paper in. I like a wee taste of blue tack on it, and that holds the nut in for us. So we'll just screw that in, start the threads by hand with the water pump in place. It only goes in one way, so you can't really go wrong. The wee O-ring came with it. It goes into a wee recess, and what I like to do is a very, very light wee coating of engine oil around it. Very, very light wee coating of light engine oil, and that just makes sure that it seals into place. So new water pump fitted, and those wee 10mm bolts there, wee M6 studs. So they're only, the spec shows 9 Newton meters, but you can't really get a torque wrench in there, so it's not that much. And it's like anything, I keep saying it, don't need a swing on it. So the next thing to do is get this tensioner in the position to get this belt on. So we're going to use a wee Allen key here that fits in this wee hole. Now you don't shove it right in, you just shove it a wee bit in. I can see what I'm doing here. It's just so it catches on there, and then we're going to pull that way, down the way, and then line up the 2 wee holes and get it locked in position. So I'll get a 15mm on the tensioner wheel itself. Let's see if I can get my hands in here with a camera in the way. Things I do for YouTube. We'll see if we can get that locked into position. It's not going. There we are. That's it, locked. That's our belt on. So that's that serpentine belt or auxiliary belt rating there. If you need to know that, it's just a wee thing about belts while we're here. That one there, it's a Conti Tech Continental, made in Germany. This number in here, in case you don't know, this 6PK, that's the number of ribs in it, and that 1318 is millimeters, so that's 1318 millimeters there, made by Continental Rubber Company, pretty good brand. Now this car has air conditioning, so if you didn't have air conditioning, it would be a shorter belt, and it would probably be something like that, 1185. So that's the shorter belt there for the non-aircon model. Okay, there's the engine mount back on again, and that bracket in place, and the actual mount itself. So there's a bolt down there, there's a bolt down there. It's all 15mm heads on them, and those 3 as well. The only thing that makes this a bit awkward is this pipe here. There's a bracket down there that you can take off, and that gives that a wee bit more movement. It slips up. So getting that mount all in one. I don't like to touch these nuts here. I like to keep them in situ, and if I can get the whole bracket out as one unit, and it does come out. It is a bit of a squeeze in past this, but you can take that wee popper out, and you can move that out of the way a wee bit. So it's possible. It's a wee bit of a couple of minutes done. No, it wasn't too bad. You just take your time and just watch where it's catching on. Just move it out of the way. Unclip that loom there, and it pulled that up over onto the top here. So that was up onto the top there. Give it a wee bit more clearance so you're not biting into that when you're trying to slip anything down in. So it wasn't too bad. As you can see, you can hardly even see and that hose is back on again. Took that off as well just to get it out of the way. So anything, again, that's the philosophy. Anything that's handy to get at, anything that's easy looking, just staring at you, just move it out of the way for yourself, because just makes it a wee bit easier. So there's our water pump down in there. You can just about see it, and you can just see the belt there. So the guy, I can only assume then, when his battery went flat and the whole car went dead, he had a wee look down there and seen there was no belt around the alternator, because it's really the only thing you can see from up above. So yeah, you could probably put a new belt on from below, but it would be really, really awkward. So to do nearly anything on this side of the engine, you need to take that mount off. So that's really that. The car's back down the deck, and we're going to fill the coolant here. So I'm sure there's loads of methods of filling coolant. This is another one here. This is a wee special kit you need to do this here. So what's going to happen here is we're gonna suck all the air out of the system. So this ensures that there's no airlocks or whatever. So it's actually going to fill itself. So what we're going to do is we're going to attach an air line to this, and so the air is going to run past here and down that pipe. So it's going to create a Venturi effect in this tee off, and that'll create a vacuum. Now I've had to block off the wee overflow there because it was just passing it and it wasn't creating a vacuum. So we'll put that in like that. So our air's coming out here, and we'll turn this on. We'll take creating a vacuum, and we'll kick it up. What will happen then is we'll be able to see the hoses collapsing. So this does a couple of things. This is a couple of tests here. This ensures that the radiator system is actually, if there's a leak, then it'll not hold a vacuum. So I think I'll bring it up to about 12 o'clock there. And we'll just turn the top, and that should hold for us. It's strapping a wee bit. Must be a wee bit of a leak in it still. It might be here or a seal here. So that screws in. It doesn't fit brilliant here, but it sucks it down in. So you can maybe see here that the radiator hose is actually flat there. It's collapsed. So with our top closed there, it is. I think it's leaking out of here a wee bit. But with our top closed, then we connect this. So there's a wee filter on the end of it there. We'll just stick it in the coolant bottle. That's going to draw it up for us. Get it right down the bottom. So we open the top. So we've had a fair drop there, so I might have to charge it up again. So charge it up again there, so we'll just let that go. And it'll fill itself. So that's set up into the reservoir now, so we'll just knock that off and disconnect this. So unscrew that. So it wasn't a great sealing that we kept there, because it was only able to seal on the top bit there. So the way that works is that you screw that down, that expands. There's a couple of rubber adapters in the kit for different sizes. So the coolant's up into the reservoir now, so we'll just top it off. So that's our coolant topped up, and this is the all important pressure cap. So it needs to click, that last wee click into place, and that's the pressure that it lets off the overflow at, 140 kilopascals in this case. So the whole time I was doing that, the battery was on charge, so there's reading 13.3 volts. So the wee battery charger's been keeping it at a fairly high level. So we're going to give it a start up, make sure this alternator's charging here. Alright, what have I got? 14.47. Perfect. Okay. Right, so just stop the engine there. That's voltage back down again. So anyway, I think that's it for this video. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to take it for a test drive, make sure it gets up to temperature, and take it for a good run. So put a wee bit of load in the engine, and get her right up to temperature, and then let it sit for a while and let her cool off. So if there still is any air, which there shouldn't be, because we evacuated the whole system from air on that fill process, but just in case there is, we'll run it right up, let it cool down again, and then we'll check the coolant level, and then we'll call that a fix, give it back to the customer, and tell him what he owes me, basically. So many thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. and a few wee hints and tips in there. And all the best, and bye bye.